hired Tony Robbins for $250,000. They're going to pay $50,000 for jet fuel for him.
Yeah.
So he's going to walk out of the room with $250,000. They don't pay me anything.
Wow.
They don't pay my expenses. They don't pay a speaker fee. I just get a percentage of what I sell. Except Tony will go in and get a $250,000 speaking fee, and he's amazing. And then I'll go in and I'll clear $1.5 million to $2 million from the same event.
Damn. Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. Finally got him on, guys. Marshall Sylver, thanks for coming on, man.
I'm glad I'm here. It's been a long time. We've been chatting for, a year at least.
About a year, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, man.
And you're crushing it.
Doing what I can, dude.
This show is amazing. You're crushing it. You've had just about all these great names and great content on, so congratulations.
Thank you. I've had a couple of your clients on. I've actually been a client of one of your clients.
Who's that?
Dom the hypnotist.
Oh, yeah.
Tried out 2 sessions with him.
Awesome. Yeah, we did. Dom, when he came to me, obviously is extremely successful as a hypnotist. And I told him that he should start doing live events, that's where the money is, one to many. And the first event we did together, about 70 people in the room, and we did $850,000 in gross sales in 2.5 days.
That's nuts, man.
But that's what I do.
Yeah,
I sell things.
You're one of the best in the world at selling from stage, right?
I am. And if I meet somebody better than me, I'll be their best student. I'll pay them whatever I got to pay them.
Did you start off selling from stage with success, or did it take some time to build that up?
You know, as you know, my history is I'm a hypnotist. And I got a call from a client one day. I had been performing at the Stratosphere here in town.
Yeah.
And I had finished my run, and I get a call from a real estate trainer named Ron LeGrand. And Ron said, I've got 1,000 people in Atlanta. They've all paid $1,000 a piece. How much would you charge me to come out and do your hypnotic show? And I said at the time, this is 1999, I said $25,000 plus 2 first-class tickets, lodging, ground transportation. He said, oh my God, is that the best you can do? He said, what if I let you come back and speak the next day to the group? I said, I would let you pay me another $25,000. And he said, no, you don't understand. What if I let you come back the next day and sell to this audience and keep the money? My belief is you take a bad gig until a good gig comes along. So I said, sure, just pay my expenses and I'll come out and I'll do the show and I'll do the keynote. And so I went out and I offered up, I had never done it before, so I didn't know what to do. I offered up a $500 event, and 800 people out of the 1,000 leapt out of their seats and raced back to the back and bought the $500 program. Well,
wow.
That's easy math. That's $400,000.
Yeah.
My whole life changed.
That is
I
crazy.
realized that here I am trying to get people to pay a speaker fee when if I just get paid on what I actually produce on my sales, I'll make a whole lot more money.
But also selling on stage is an art, because people can sell to audiences with very bad results compared to you. And that's common. So what do you think about you makes it so compelling of an offer?
I have an unfair advantage, and I don't even think it's the offer, because we train a lot of speakers to close from the stage. And certainly you have to have an ethical offer. You have to have an offer that's worth whatever you're offering it for, or I won't teach you anyway.
Right.
But I think beyond that, so many people have a challenge with selling. They almost feel guilty when they're selling.
Yes.
And they telegraph that when they go to sell. And because those that are afraid to buy always telegraph that fear when they're selling, what happens is they telegraph it and they don't sell well. With me, I know I'm doing people a favor when they buy my products. It's good for me, it's good for them, it's good for the entire economy. Everybody wins. So not only do I have, obviously, hypnotic language patterns and all of that in my tool belt, I also have a very deep belief that I'm obligated. You know, when you believe in something, you have a moral and ethical obligation to sell it.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk, because I have events for 500 people. I've had 10 of them, and I've never sold anything.
Wow.
Because of that, what you're saying, I feel guilty. But you've kind of changed my mindset on it.
Well, and I notice that a lot in the digital space. People that are really good online, or maybe they market a lot online, you put them in the real world space, and it's almost like they feel guilty.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're embarrassed, and they'll usually say things like, I'm doing an event, it's not going to be a pitch fest. And I always kind of cringe when I hear them say that, because, again, salespeople, we're the cornerstone of the economy. So when you're at your event and you don't sell, no matter how good the content is, if you don't sell, you're harming those people.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Because salespeople are seen kind of negatively in the public eye.
Could be.
And I wonder why that is, maybe because of movies or something.
Yeah, I just think that part of it is once again, people are afraid to buy because they think someone's going to pull the wool over their eyes. If I were to sell you something for $500 that ended up making you $1 million in the next year, and you were able to fast forward a year to see that result, you'd say, yeah, please sell me that thing for $500.
Yeah.
But I think that and usually they say used car salespeople, you're like a used car salesman. Yep. And I'm thinking, well, people need cars, and sometimes people buy them used, so what's wrong with that? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. You've shared a stage with Trump, I saw on your Instagram.
Many times.
What was it like meeting him?
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Nice. Any dialogue there that...
No, anything you want to know. I'm a massive fan, big supporter. I have been backstage. Usually what it is they'll bring somebody like Trump or Tony Robbins in to an event, and they'll be the draw.
Right.
They'll be the person that fills the room up, and they'll pay Tony Robbins or even Trump. I know the last time I did an event with Trump, they were paying him $1 million speaking fee to come to the Real Estate Wealth Expo events.
Wow.
And so there's 15,000 people in the arena. They would put Trump on. They usually put Tony Robbins on before me, or they'll put Trump on after me because they know the room's going to be filled. And then they bring me out because I'm the one that makes some money. So if they hire Tony Robbins for $250,000, they're going to pay $50,000 for jet fuel for him.
Yeah.
So he's going to walk out of the room with $250,000. They don't pay me anything.
Wow.
They don't pay my expenses. They don't pay a speaker fee. I just get a percentage of what I sell. Except Tony will go in and get a $250,000 speaking fee, and he's amazing. And then I'll go in and I'll clear $1.5 million to $2 million from the same event.
Damn.
It's what I do.
So you're so confident in your abilities that you don't want front. You just make it on the back end.
No, and again, that event that I was telling you about, that I went down to Atlanta, and it changed my whole world. Right. I made $400,000 in 90 minutes, and that wasn't even the back end.
Crazy.
My back end, like at your event, when I teach you how to structure the event, you should be doing a minimum of $5,000 a head. So if you have 500 people at your event, that event should clear at least $2.5 to $5 million just by the nature of making good offers to people.
Wow. That is a game changer because I've been having these for 5 years and I've lost money.
And most people do. Yeah, most people do. And I see it a lot. And I don't know what it is. Actually, I do know what it is. A lot of the people in the influencer space, their whole identity is tied to the number of...
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Subscribers or fans or whatever they have, and they're afraid, if I offer up something for sale, I'll lose some of my following and I'll lose some of that power there.
Right.
And all I can say is 2 words: Grant Cardone.
I love that. He just came on, and
he's amazing.
He's different, man.
Man, he's different. He's very different. And while I may not agree with some of the stuff he does, what he's built as his empire, it's brilliant.
Yeah. How long you been out here? I know you got one of the biggest houses in Vegas.
I do have a big house. In 1994, had an idea. And the idea took me from being $250,000 in debt. Within 2 months, I had retired all the debt, and I had $2 million liquid net in the bank.
Wow.
That year, the idea that I had come up with, we did $120 million in sales, and I netted $22 million.
Holy crap.
So I was living down in San Diego, 1994, and I'd always wanted to have my show on the Strip in Las Vegas, my hypnotic show. And so I also didn't want to pay California 13% of $22 million. So I moved to Nevada, opened up my show, and as they say, the rest is history. I happen to love the ocean, and I love Vegas. I landed back here, I think Sunday or Saturday, and I love Vegas.
Yeah. And
I also love the ocean. So with imagine you make $10 million a year. In California, in that bracket, you're at 13%, so $1.3 million. If you live in Nevada, you keep that $1.3 million in your pocket,
right,
which means you can have a very large house in Nevada. You can have a house right on the ocean in San Diego. You can fly back and forth on a private jet and still have money left over.
Right. Yeah, those jet suite flights are cheap these days.
They are, I've heard. I've not flown jet suite. I've heard it's good.
You fly your own?
We usually charter, and then Joe Biden came into office and gas prices changed. And so there was a service that was running for a while down in Southern California called SetJet.
Oh, I heard of that.
SetJet was great. They were flying Challenger 850s,
yeah,
so they were flying beautiful airplanes, kind of like a Gulfstream. And it was $750 per person. The downside was if anybody else wanted to fly with you, they were on the plane with you, except most of the time when we flew, myself and my wife and my 3 kids, we were the only ones on the plane.
Wow.
So I'm getting a charter for $4,000 one way that now with gas prices being what they are would be about $15,000.
Damn.
And if we were on a Challenger, that size plane, that big plane, it's a $35,000 charter one way.
Yeah, that's crazy. Was your wife with you from before you came into all this wealth?
No, I made millions and millions and millions of dollars. In 2007, was doing an event back in Boston. There was 1,000 people in the room. And 4 rows back on the center aisle was this gorgeous woman. And so, as you know, if you're going to make a sale, you've got to qualify your prospect. So I got on stage, and the first thing I said was, who here is single and would love to have an awesome, intimate relationship? Well, I pointed at myself and looked her square in the eye.
Yeah.
And she smiled but didn't put her hand up. So I knew she wasn't single. So then I asked, who here is in a relationship and wants more passion in that relationship? And not only did she not put her hand up, she looked away from me. So the cold read, because that's what I'm going to teach you when you come to Turning Point, the cold read was she was in a relationship, but she wasn't happy.
Wow.
So I said, game on, baby. And so I hypnotized her without her knowing it, and without the other 1,000 people in the room knowing it. I hypnotized her to walk up to me and ask me out on a date.
No way.
Yep. 17 years later and 3 babies, I'm still in trance.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So you're able to hypnotize people without them knowing?
Of course not.
Of course not.
As he nods his head up and down. Yeah, of course. That is the process.
Wow.
You know, ultimately, hypnosis is influence. So it's not hard to hypnotize people. It's hard to bring them out of the trance that they've been in. You know, you've done, you said 10 events.
Yeah.
And you've had 500 people on average at every single event. And you've lost money at every single event, you said, which is not uncommon. And for me, the obvious answer is, well, we should sell them something. But for whatever reason, maybe something that I've already mentioned even, you didn't want to sell at those events, because if you wanted to, you would have.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I come into highly successful people like you. I hope you understand what is the balance between giving phenomenal content, producing an amazing event, and also making some offers. And making them in such a way that people afterwards walk up to you and say, oh my God, thank you so much for bringing him in, or thank you so much for offering what you offered up.
Right.
You know, you've created something here with Digital Social Hour. You've created something that's a monster. This podcast is huge. And so there's people, obviously, that want to know, how did you do this? Can you teach us how to do this? Can we pay you to teach us how to do this?
Yeah.
And or, you know, just the influence. You've got the best water in the world as one of your sponsors. And so what happens is when you start to understand that the world's a better place when you sell things, everything gets easier.
Yeah, that's a mindset shift I need to make, for sure. Because people, like you said, people ask me daily how I grew the show, and I just don't have an offer. You know what I mean?
I would love to help you with that.
Yeah.
It would be my pleasure.
Definitely leaving money on the table. At this stage in your life, are you chasing money as heavily as you were when you were my age?
Good question. Not at all.
Yeah.
No, not at all. In fact, you know, I've made over $600 million. Thank you, God. and I have everything I want. I do have a spectacular home in Las Vegas. I do have a home on the beach, and I, you know, drove here in a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and I drive a Maybach. So it's like, what else do I want? There's nothing else I want. I've got a perfect wife, best decision I ever made.
Nice.
I've got 3 amazing children. They were all born via hypnosis in the bathtub at my palace here.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people would say they were conceived via hypnosis. And if you see how beautiful my wife is, you would understand that. They were born in the bathtub, no drugs, no doctors, no pain. In fact, my daughter Prosperity, we streamed live her birth.
Wow.
So my wife's in the bathtub. I'm in the bathtub with her. She's wearing a bikini top. You know, we want to be tasteful. I'm naked. I'm not wearing a top.
And you stream this?
I stream this. I've got swim trunks on, but I'm naked from the waist up because we wanted ratings. And so 8,000 people watched the birth of my daughter.
Holy crap.
And what was funny is you know, people are commenting, and as you know, because you're in social media, the trolls are there. And there was a troll that was saying, oh, this isn't real. She's not really giving birth to a baby. And then when the baby's born, when my daughter's born, I catch her in my hands and I raise her up above the tub so that you can see her on screen.
Yeah.
And this troll says, see, that's not even a real baby.
You can never win with trolls, man.
No, you just surrender to them.
What made you want to have them naturally like that rather than a hospital setting?
Drugs.
Because they put the woman on all the...
They put the epidural in and all sorts of things. And I also believe that, you know, even when we're in the womb, we're receiving programs, and we receive the programs of the mother.
Right.
So if the baby's born in pain and fear and screaming and drama, and immediately, the woman gives birth, it's yanked away from the mother, it's taken away, and, the dad's in the other room, and it's a lot of drama to come into the world with. Whereas my babies, we're in the bathtub. I caught the babies, all 3 of them, in my hand. I cut their umbilical cords. I made 3 perfect little belly buttons. and one of my favorite moments in all 3 births was my daughter's born. The midwife swaddles her. I take her in my arms. I go lay in the master bed. My wife gets cleaned up. She comes in to the master. I put my daughter in her arms, and then my 2-year-old son and my 4-year-old son walk into the suite, and we have video of them jumping up on the bed and meeting their little sister within 10 minutes of her birth.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
It's magic.
Man. Did having kids really change your perspective on life?
Everything. I'm a different guy. I was a scoundrel. I really was. I made a whole lot of money. I have a set of skills that are dangerous, and I was a rascal. and I admit, I'm the first person to admit that even after I met my wife, I was still a rascal. My children, though, they changed everything about me. So you asked about the money, and we were talking about this on the ride over. All that matters to me now is the quality of their lives.
Wow.
That's all I care about.
Yeah,
don't care about fame anymore. Don't need any more money. I like money, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not the same anymore.
And there's a lot you got to worry about with raising kids in this modern day.
Yeah,
there's a lot of subconscious programming going on.
It's a lot of nonsense.
Especially in the school system.
Oh, it's horrible.
In the news. It's tough.
They're confusing kids. They're wanting them to not understand what gender there is. So let me go on record on your show. There's only 2 genders. If you think there's more than 2 genders, you're insane. It's a mental illness. There's not more than 2 genders. People can live however they want to live, and I completely support that. I just don't have to believe what they believe.
Right. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of programming done in that whole gender thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the gender confusion is done intentionally because confused people can be controlled. And there's another agenda that I believe in the midst of all that. And Lord knows I'm going to get trolls and haters by saying all this, and I'm cool with that because I've had it before. But the other agenda is if we can get people to the point where they don't reproduce, it diminishes the population. And the depopulation agenda is very real. That's what all of the gender confusion for kids is. That's what the vaccines have been all about. That's what all that process is.
Yeah.
And, being a hypnotist, it's easy for me to see through a lot of the hypnosis going on.
Right, I bet. I don't know if this was common when you were my age, but almost all the people I know my age have had a miscarriage.
I don't know that it's common, and I probably wouldn't know. How old are you?
I'm 27.
So I think what the difference is now now they know. So, I'm 61. And in my time, when in my age, if you had a miscarriage, you didn't tell anybody.
Right.
And usually people that miscarry early on that people might not have even known they were pregnant.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I also think, to that point, I think I've seen more people having skin challenges and other kinds of challenges that people have never had.
Yeah.
And it has to do with our nutrition. It has to do with the environment. It has to do with the toxins and the stuff that we deal with on a regular basis now. So
there's a lot you got to be dodging, man.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
And you have to be aware. The misinformation from social media, big tech, certainly mainstream media, all the agendas that they have and the things they want us to believe is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Did you come from a family of hypnosis?
No. I was raised extremely poor. I've got 10 siblings, all from the same mom. I've got 4 brothers. I've got 6 sisters. And we were dirt poor. My father and I never had a relationship.
Damn.
He was a very angry man for whatever his reasons were. I would call him on the phone. The first words out of his mouth were, "You little SOB, why are you calling me?" Last words out of his mouth, "You little MFer, don't ever call me again."
Damn.
And so, part of what hypnosis did for me is it helped me heal all that. It helped me realize that I get to choose who I am. My mother was the polar opposite. My mother would say, "Marshall, you're going to grow up, you're going to be rich, you're going to be famous, and then you're going to take care of me." and so I think most people have a lot of that goes into their brain. And so as adults, our job is to figure out who were we on the day that we were born. And some people, unfortunately, never figure that out.
Crazy.
They spend a lifetime thinking they're not good enough or that they don't deserve great relationships or making money is hard and any number of false hypnotic programs that can be easily erased and replaced if you know how.
Yeah. Similar story with my father. He never forgave his parents for the abuse, and he lived his whole life with that regret.
Yeah.
And it ate at him.
And for me, I did the opposite because I realized that's what that was. So every time my dad would, say, "You little motherfucker, don't call me," and the next time I called him, I would just say, "Dad, I don't know why you're angry at me, and whatever it is, I'd like to heal. Fact is, I love you, and I don't know why you feel this way about me." But here's one cool thing. Because I always approached my father that way and always dealt with him that way, at one point in my 20s, I was at my desk, and my infomercial had been running, and we're spending $500,000 a week on media, so I was everywhere.
Yeah.
And my secretary says, "Marshall, your dad's on line 1." And I said, "That's not funny." And she said, "Well, some guy says he's your dad and he's on line 1." And I pick up the phone, "Who the hell is this?" And he said, "Marshall, it's your dad." He'd never called me in my lifetime.
Wow.
And I said, "Dad." He said, "Marshall, I've seen your show." "Well, thanks, Dad." He said, "You're really good. I just wanted to tell you, I'm very proud of you." I'm shocked. And I said, "Thanks, Dad." He said, "I wanted to tell you, I love you." He'd never said it in a lifetime.
Damn.
And I said, "Thank you." He said, "I wanted to apologize." I said, "You don't have to apologize. It's okay. Hurt people. Dad, I understand. You're dealing with your own stuff." And he said, "I don't have any money," because he was broke. He said, "Would you be willing to send me an airline ticket? I want to fly from Michigan to California and see you." I said, yeah. I sent him a first-class airline ticket. He dropped dead 2 weeks later.
Oh, my God.
Never saw him.
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
I wonder if he knew it was coming.
Who knows? And it doesn't matter. What my point in all that was that I decided not to be angry. You probably pendulum swung the other way. You saw how much your dad was angry at his parents, and you said, "You know what? I'm not going to be angry."
Yeah, I went the complete opposite route.
Yeah,
but that route's also dangerous too.
It is.
To hold that in and not get it out.
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the things that I want my children to be able to do is I want them to be able to tell the truth. So if they think I'm being a jerk, tell me I'm a jerk.
Right.
I quit drinking alcohol last July.
Wow.
And I never thought I had a challenge with it. I certainly wouldn't have called myself an alcoholic. I just happened to like tequila, and I really liked my fine wines. And one day I just decided enough's enough. I'm done. And I quit drinking. And months went by, and then one day I was with my 2 sons, Sterling Sylver and Maximus Sylver. I was with my 2 sons. And I said, "Was I different when I drank?" And my 2 little boys, one's 12 and one's 10, they both looked at each other, looked back like, do we really get to answer this honestly?
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, Dad, you were different."
Wow.
And I said, "How was I different?" They said, "You were less patient. You were less patient and you were more selfish." And I said, "What do you mean selfish?" They said, "Sometimes you would just say mean things, and we knew you weren't being mean. We just knew you weren't thinking." So
that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's a great relationship to have with your kids, because most kids are scared to speak the truth to their parents because it'll lead to an argument.
Yep.
But you're willing to take their advice.
Yeah, I mean, they're human beings. And I want them to be able to speak up when they feel something's not right.
Yeah.
I want them to tell the truth.
And it's tough because when you raise kids with money, it's actually harder to train their mindset, right?
It can be. I have a friend here in town, and we have similar levels of wealth, and he's got a similar house. My house is 17,000 square feet, and at Christmas time, he'll put a tree in the corner of the room, and his objective, the room's usually about twice the size, his objective is to fill the entire floor up with gifts. And I frankly think he's hurting his kids. I think that's damaging his kids. He's got another room in the house. The whole room is their playroom. And if you go into their playroom, there's thousands of toys in there.
Damn.
Most of them have never even been opened. They're still in the plastic. and the ones that are there have been played with once or twice. My kids, they get 10 gifts every single Christmas. They get 1 from Santa Claus. We created a deal with Santa. They get 1 from Santa Claus, and they get 9 from Mom and Dad. And the gifts could be a T-shirt. It could be something simple, nothing grandiose. There could be a grandiose gift in there, but it's not guaranteed. And so now when they want something, they're trained. Instead of coming to me and saying, "I want something," they come to me and say, "Dad, I want this. Here's what I'm willing to do for it."
Wow. Great mindset, because you could have gone down the route of a rich parent, which typically just gives them everything, right? Buys them a car, pays for their college, but you're making them earn everything.
Yeah, and more than that, make them fall in love with earning everything.
Right.
My daughter Prosperity one day was making these plastic bead bracelets. And I asked her about the bracelets. She said, "Yeah, I'm making them for my friends." I said, "That's awesome. What a nice gift." And she looked at me like I was an idiot. She said, they're not gifts. I'm going to sell them to them. And then she's making these plastic bracelets, and she stopped, and she came to visit me. She said, Dad, I don't think I want to sell plastic bracelets. I said, okay. She said, I want to sell real jewelry. I said, okay. She said, I have a name for my company. I said, really? What's the name of your company? She said, Prosperity Style. And I said, I like it. And she said, I need some help designing the logo. So we designed the logo, and what it is, it's a rose wearing a crown.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. It's a great logo. In fact, it's a logo right up there with, anything that Louis Vuitton or any of those other brands are.
Yeah.
And she's a little businesswoman. We were at a seminar. We were at one of my turning points, and I keep the room very cold because it keeps people awake. So I like the room very cold.
Smart.
And we went to lunch, and she said, Dad, the room's cold. I said, I know, honey. It's on purpose. She said, your students are cold. I said, I know, honey. She said, we should sell them blankets.
She's going to be a shark.
Oh, she is the shark. She's amazing.
That. Do you send them to public school?
God, no. No, they're homeschooled.
I love that, man. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with my kids, I think.
Yeah, you have to. Even something as simple early on before, when they were really young, we had nannies that would come in. And the kids would say things, and I'd say, where the heck did that come from? How did you form that opinion? And it would be the nannies. It would be somebody else speaking into their life. So we're very careful about who speaks into their life.
Wow.
We're very careful about who they are.
Yeah.
Because we become the product of all those inputs. So whether it's the company we keep or the shows that we watch or what we listen to, what we read. So you've got to be really careful about what your diet is, not just what food you eat, but everything else you consume.
Especially the cartoons these days, man. Oh my gosh, what Disney's doing is...
Disney putting out cartoons with a kid having a one-night stand with the devil.
Yeah.
The spawn of Satan. And this is real. This is legitimate. This isn't something made up. And when I saw it, I went, you got to be kidding me. But, Disney has a whole agenda now.
Disney. 50% of the characters are LGBTQ now. It's pretty nuts.
It's horrible.
I mean, when we were watching cartoons, it was so innocent.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're kids. Let them be kids.
Yeah.
You don't need to... Later on, they can decide what they want to do. But let them be kids for now.
Yeah, for real. When you stopped doing your show, did you ever want to go back in that space, or you were cool with it?
Oh, that's funny. My one of my teammates was asking me that on the way over. Do you miss performing? I do. What I don't miss is being in Vegas and dealing with the corporations, being on stage and being owned by somebody else.
Right.
I don't like that. So... These days, anytime I perform, it's usually a corporate event. I'll go into, like your conference. If we do the event together, I'll come in on one of the evenings and I'll do my hypnotic performance. Everybody will laugh and have a great time and have their minds blown. And then I'll come back the next day and I'll explain to them how I did everything that I did. And then more importantly, how they can use that and apply it to their lives for better relationships, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual well-being.
I love that. Yeah, because a lot of people see hypnosis as just on-stage jokes, but there's a lot to it.
It's everything.
Could change your whole mindset from it.
It's everything.
Yeah, I mean, I had a very negative mindset. Dom was able to help me address some traumas, actually,
Dom's
that
brilliant.
I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
I mean, you can really go to your infant years.
Yeah.
It's really nuts, man.
Yeah.
How similar is what you do with mentalism?
Mentalism is cold reading. Mentalism is paying attention. It doesn't take a genius to know where you're going. Just pay attention.
Right. That's all it is?
Yep.
Wow, because I had this one guy, Oz the Mentalist, on, and I don't even understand. But
Who was the mentalist?
Oz.
Got it.
Yeah, have you seen him?
I've not.
Yeah, he's pretty big, but he'd be like, yo, pick a number 1 to 100, and at the end of this episode, I'm going to guess it. And he would get it. We did it to 3 different people.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Even with names, too. He's like, think of a person you met in 5th grade. I thought of the most obscure name. Her name was Daria Zor. Like, you would never just randomly guess that. And he got it at the end.
Yep.
I don't know how he does it, dude.
Magic is fun.
It is, man. We got to get you out on one of my events for sure.
Yeah. I'd love to help you design the event. And again, we're not apologetic that we sell. So when I do an event, what you've got to do is you've got to pre-frame everybody. You walk out on the stage, and if you're hosting the event, you say to your audience, "Hey guys, glad you're here. We've got some outside speakers coming in. Some will just teach you. That's all they're going to do. Others will teach you, and because we have a short amount of time, for those that are interested, they'll also offer up additional training for you. If you're not interested in what they're offering, don't buy it. If you're not interested in what they're selling and you want to take a break, go leave the room. Come back. The next speaker will be up in 30 minutes. And I think that's the biggest thing is people don't like to be surprised.
Right.
So if you tell them up front what's going on, they're cool with it.
I love that.
And then I also think it's important for a brand to hold a position. So as an example, Grant Cardone doesn't apologize for selling you something. He says, no, hell no, I'm here to sell you something.
I love that. What's the most you've seen someone sell from stage?
Somebody else?
You or someone. I'm assuming it's...
You know, our numbers are pretty high. On our initial events, anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 a head.
Wow.
At a bad event, $5,000 a head.
That's crazy.
So that's why I was coming back to your 500-person event. I can show you on the next one how you can take that and turn that into $2 to $5 million and have everybody leave raging fans, extremely happy.
We got to do that for sure, man.
Yeah.
Anything you want to promote or close off with?
No, the last thing is I want to offer anybody that catches this the opportunity to come to Turning Point. It's a $3,000, 2.5-day event, and I would like them to come, if it's okay with you, as your guest.
Let's do it.
So if they reach out to you and say, hey, you know, I saw Marshall on your show, and they want to come to Turning Point as your guest, then it'd be great to know where they came from.
Cool.
Because we also have a very generous affiliate program. We pay out 30% commissions.
Nice.
So if I sell $10,000 a head and you send people to my event, that's $3,000 a person.
Wow. When is that?
We do it about every other month.
Okay. In Vegas?
Yeah, we've got one coming up actually Monday, Tuesday. It's a 2.5-day event. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then we're back in Vegas again in May.
Cool. We'll make an affiliate link and link it below. Thanks for coming on, man.
I would love that.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank you
for
so
watching,
much.
guys. As always, see you next time.